Hi, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Tara.
And you're listening to the Rom-Com Detectives. Welcome to Rom-Com Detectives, episode 13, Devil's Favor. Today, Tara and I will be talking about the 5th episode of Lucifer season 1 called Sweet Kicks. This episode originally aired on February 22nd, 2016. Gonna get right to the case briefing. The victim here was Paula Cortez, and she died of trampling, which is a pretty
Gross.
awful way to die.
Seriously.
No thanks. And then there wasn't really a motive because her death was accidental, but the motive that led to her death was jealousy, I guess, competitiveness.
Yeah.
There are a few guest stars, and one in particular that I really like. There was Eddie Shin. He's been in The Man in the High Castle and Westworld. There's Lachlan Monroe, who plays Hal Cooper on Riverdale, and he was also in an episode of The Mentalist. And this dude had like the longest IMDb page. He had like almost 300 acting credits. He's a busy guy. And then there's Alyssa Diaz. She plays Danny. I think it's Danny, right? Yeah, because Diego's the guy.
Yeah.
So she plays Danny, but she's Angela Lopez on The Rookie. So I guess it's one of her early roles because she looks a lot younger in this.
It's always weird when you see actors in their early things and they really look different. Thinking about you, Pedro Pascal on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He was? Really?
Oh my gosh, look him up later. He was a little baby.
When me and Karen get to season 6 of The Mentalist, there's going to be a lot of ranting because he plays like the third in the love triangle.
Oh.
But yeah, so she looks the same, but she looks younger, but she sounds exactly the same. Like listening to her in this episode was kind of a trip because she talks a lot on The Rookie too. So it was cool hearing her voice. Okay, getting to the episode breakdown. This one starts with Lucifer and Maze attending a fashion show being put on by Benny Choi. And Maze it's like a direct continuation of the last episode. Maze she's his bodyguard, right? So she's laying down the law about sharp objects because they need to figure out why he can bleed or why he can get injured. But instead of being scared by it, he's very excited. And this leads to like a whole episode of him like chasing danger.
Taking risks.
But he goes in the back to make out with one of the models. And I mentioned this, even though it's a small detail, because I like when he uses his power on her and asks her what she wants. And she says, cheeseburger.
I feel that in my soul, actually, because sometimes the cheeseburger is all that you desire.
Yes. But yeah, so shots are fired and people stampede out, and then the woman, Paula, is trampled to death. And I thought, even though like they've shown Lucifer having empathy for victims in the past, he was kind of crude about this one. He just didn't really seem to care when they found her dead.
Honestly, I kind of feel like that's a theme throughout the episode in a weird way, like, I don't know. I mean, it's still so early in the season, and I think they're still kind of like figuring stuff out, but he really leans into the like borderline inappropriate, unfeeling kind of banter in this episode, I think.
Yeah. He was pretty selfish in this episode.
Yeah, which I mean is it's kind of part of the point, I think, of this episode, but it does feel like uncomfortable to watch sometimes, I think.
Yeah. So next it goes to Chloe at the station. And this is important because this is where Lucifer finagles his way into the case. But yeah, so Chloe's promising the victim's mother that she'll find out who's responsible, and Dan warns her to stay safe because it's. Wait, why does he say that? Oh, because of Lucifer. Because
she keeps getting in shootouts with her buddy around.
I like this because she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm done with him," and then he points behind her, and there he is, flirting with a female cop
Sitting on her desk.
who's handcuffing him in jest.
No, he's handcuffing her.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, do you like it tighter?" Blue, and yeah, it's all very Lucifer.
So I love this because she goes to her desk and she's like mad that he's there, and then he like starts pretending that he's there to like report her for shooting him in the leg.
She's clearly still feeling the
The
guilt
guilt.
/ fear of being found out for what she did, and he is not above teasing her with that.
The way he milks it is very amusing.
It really is, especially the like fake
The
limping.
fake limping. So he goes to meet with the lieutenant and he tells her outright that he wants to explore his mortality, which she's like confused, right? For obvious reasons. But when she doesn't go for that, he offers her a favor, I guess. And this is a recurring theme through the episode, his favors. He offers her political and community support in exchange for letting him work the case with Chloe. And then so she goes outside and she tells Chloe that she has to work with him. And I guess it's because he says that he has connections to Benny. So something to note is that this squad room is actually used in an episode of The Mentalist too. It
Their
was in
worlds are colliding.
I know it was in season 1, episode 19, A Dozen Red Roses, when they go to investigate a case in Hollywood. So that's the squad room that they use. I did go back and look because when I was watching Mentalist, I was like, this place looks so familiar. And then
I've been here
eventually, yeah, like,
before.
I know. And I was like, yeah, look, this is the same windows and everything. So she says that she's gonna take him back home, and this is good because I guess Benny was gonna meet him there, and this is where we meet his friends Hector and Pig Diddy,
Yeah.
a name which is no longer. I mean, the pun is still funny, but the
Yeah.
reference,
Actually, maybe the reference is
yeah,
even more
true.
appropriate.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, Pig Diddy is pretty fitting.
I mean, maybe the pig should probably be offended, I think,
I
at this
know,
point.
right? Pig is really cute.
I know.
And I did want to mention, when my family went to Japan this past March, we went to a micro pig cafe.
Oh my gosh.
They're actually pretty cute.
They are cute.
They're not very soft, but they're adorable.
No, their little faces.
Yeah. And it was so funny because my husband was the one who didn't really want to go, but they loved him. They were like hugging him the whole time.
They were what?
They were hugging him. They kept jumping on his lap and they didn't want to go to anyone else.
Maybe it's like cats, because cats will always go to the person who least likes cats. And apparently they do that because usually that person is the one that doesn't make any kind of eye contact. And so the cat is thinking like, oh yeah, this person is not hostile. They're not even looking at me. And so they like attach to, and it's usually backfires because that person does not care for cats or they're trying to avoid them. So they were picking up his anti-pig vibe.
Okay, so as a little side topic, we wanted to suggest some alternate names for Pig Diddy. So I came up with some that were fashion related, like Piggy Chew and Hammy Hilfiger, Alex Hamder McQueen, Salvapork Ferragamo, Borgio Armani.
That one's my favorite. I laughed.
And then since P Diddy is a rapper, I also wrote down Eminem.
Nice.
But yeah, that's going to be our Spotify question of the week. You can tell us which of these new names you like the best.
Which one brings home the bacon, as it
Oh,
were? You shouldn't let me around the puns. It's not a good scene.
you're gonna hug the mic.
I am.
So outside I don't think we ever see the Lux parking lot ever again. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like this is like a one-time thing. And it was just like a driveway.
Yeah. I do feel like we see that alley again,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if it's like
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
connected
But yeah, so he tries to convince her to go to a cop bar. Why did he want to go there?
to celebrate their partnership.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And
Look,
then he
there's a few like missing pieces that we just have to use our suspension of disbelief that this is what he's thinking at this moment in time.
So he milks his injury again to get her to go. And at the bar, we get a glimpse of what Chloe has to deal with on a daily basis. And it's pretty brutal. Everybody like stares at her and gives her the cold shoulder. And she looks really awkward. And I don't know. But this is where she starts talking about the favors thing. She asks whether he's a loan shark or a con man. He explains that he just deals out favors for payment at a later date. Like he'll call in his payment later. I liked when she says, "Who would take a deal like that?" Because he turns really serious and he says, "They all do."
Yeah.
And then the next scene is probably this is my crispy for the episode because there's a cop, one of the cops, Palucci, he leans in, and I thought it was weird that he leaned in to get his beer right between them because like they were
He's just
sitting.
that rude.
I
He's
know.
just that rude.
Well, also the bartender. Why did the bartender put the beer right there? It was
I
very
mean, the whole
strange.
bar is like empty. It just
But yeah, so Chloe explains about why she's getting the cold shoulder because Paolucci's partner Malcolm was shot at a place on Palmetto Street. He thinks that he's a hero, but Chloe said that she thought that he was a dirty cop and he was there meeting with people who were paying him money. So that's the source of this
yeah,
Palmetto
and so
Street that we've been.
everybody thinks she's a narc, basically, like that
Yeah.
she's,
Plus, he can't defend himself because he's in a
yeah,
coma. So
yeah. Although we don't know that yet.
do we not?
I don't think so. I
Oh,
think
okay.
all we know is that he's been shot, and it's because it was kind of a question mark as to whether or not he was even still
Okay.
alive.
Okay.
Spoiler alert: he's in a
Well,
coma. It'll come back soon.
she tells him not to, but Lucifer gets up and he insults Paolucci and punches him in a really hilarious part of the.
Yeah, because also I think Chloe kind of gives him, she's like, I don't need you to protect me. And the reason this is important is because there's sort of this back and forth this episode where Lucifer is like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, this isn't about you. But also later we see Dan kind of doing the same, like this macho thing where
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is acting like Chloe can't take care of herself. And I think, not for a minute does Lucifer think that Chloe can't take care of herself. He knows that she can take care of herself, but he just really needs to punch the guy.
yeah.
Like
Because what he did was just really rude, right? So
anyway, yeah, there's some,
next, it goes to Maze, who is at the best punny cafe ever.
I want to go there.
She's at a cafe called Beals a Bean.
Yep.
Amazing. I wonder who came up
Their
with that.
coffee is devilish.
Yeah, there's a sign above the coffee counter. It says black as a devil, hot as hell, pure as an angel, sweet as love. But she's here to meet with Amenadiel, and he's like pushing. Was there? I got this confused because I thought like he had already asked her, and she had already told him that that's. I think it was a deleted scene that I watched from the last episode
Maybe.
where she's telling him that Lucifer is talking to someone. So I guess that's why that was a deleted scene because they decided to go with this instead. And I mean, why not? Beelzebub is amazing.
It is.
This is
It's an
way better.
improvement.
So this is where Amenadiel learns that he's seeing Linda. And I did want to note that Maze also makes a note of Amenadiel's change in attire because he's not wearing his like angel costume here. He's wearing like a regular suit this time.
He's wearing a 3-piece, not regular, like looking fine suit. Same.
He does look really good in that.
He does.
But I guess that's to comment on the fact because remember like last episode she licked his face. I think this is
Yes.
like a subtle hint that he's like edging towards humans.
Yes. Yeah.
So next it goes to Linda's office and she's closing up and she hears a noise. I loved where she yells out, "I know Krav Maga."
I love how there are so many times throughout the whole series where we just see Linda, who is so tiny,
She's
like
small.
just like little fighter, she's like, I'll take anybody.
But Amenadiel surprises her and introduces himself as a new doctor next door. Then back at Lux, Maze is scolding Lucifer for doing dangerous things, and they actually get into kind of a fight here, like a little tiff, because he thinks that she's jealous that he's exploring his mortality with Chloe instead of with her. And then we learned that Maze and Lucifer used to sleep together, which was interesting.
Yep.
And then Dan comes in and he says that
Oh, I
he.
have something else to say before we
Oh
leave the
yeah,
maze
yeah, yeah.
conversation, because I think that too, like this is very early on, but I think some of the seeds of Maze's whole character arc are kind of
Mm.
getting sown here, where we actually really do see, like, Lucifer is
He talks down to
not,
her here.
oh, a lot. Like he basically sees her as, like, in some ways just like a a
Paid help.
servant,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's she, and when she tries to sort of stand up for herself, he talks down to her and he's condescending, and
He
it's
says you
just,
exist to protect me. Like the only
yeah.
reason she even exists is because he
Yeah,
needs.
which, I mean, in a way is true because she's a demon, right? So
Yeah,
it's like she doesn't have free will. She doesn't have sort of agency. At this point, it really is like she goes where he goes and does what he tells her to do. And that doesn't sit very well. And it's such a contrast, like the sort of coldness that with which he deals with her compared to his sort of goofiness around
yeah.
Chloe is, to me, very striking.
And then I mean, it does come back around like at the end of the
Oh
episode
yeah.
too. Yeah. But so Dan comes in and he tells Lucifer that he managed to get Pa Lucy to back down on pressing charges against Lucifer for punching him. And then Lucifer reveals that he's just chasing danger because he wants a gang war. He wants the gang war, which, uh, like, that's
Said
what we talked
nobody
about.
ever except Lucifer.
But so when I rewatch and I take notes, I leave the subtitles on, and this part when like him and Dan are having this exchange, it shows him as having a sultry purr.
All
So
right.
he's
Oh, is that
making
in the
he's
is
making one. I think it's when Dan like threatens him or so, or says something like aggressive towards him, and Lucifer makes this sultry purr. We should have named.
yeah, because he makes a kind of like comment like, "Are you here for or for a kiss or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?" Like
yeah,
it's, Lucifer is just like, "I'll push your buttons if you're gonna get in my space." And this is also where Dan is a little overprotective.
yeah.
I think it's important because we see that, if this is how Dan is talking to Lucifer, who's not even a cop, who's not, he really underestimates Chloe. I believe I know why the marriage ended. Like,
But I mean, to be fair, she is going around with no partner and she's like a pariah. So I mean, he must worry about like her not getting back up when she calls for it, kind of thing. So
yeah,
I can kind of see his, and plus he tells Lucifer that Chloe's the mother of his child, so doesn't
yeah,
want Trixie to not have a mom.
exactly. But I think that because Lucifer hears this and he's in Lucifer's mind so far, like Chloe has just been like nothing but a badass, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's just like, okay, I'm pretty sure she can take care of herself, but sure.
And she can, and he doesn't have to be such a douche about it when he's
Yeah,
trying to make these
yeah,
comments. Okay, so next, Chloe takes Lucifer and they go to East Los Angeles and they're gonna go track down Danny and Diego, which is the name that Benny had given them with the Latin Kings. And it was funny because she tells Lucifer to back her up, but then he pisses her off, so she locks him in the car and goes in without backup.
yeah.
Or did she?
Sometimes no backup is better.
As he proves in the house later, because she
Momentarily,
and
yep.
so she hears Danny and Diego start screaming, so she she busts down the door. I thought this is so hilarious because Are you able to knock down a door?
I don't believe so. No.
She,
I
she
mean,
I mean, she didn't just break the door in. She like busted it. It like
yeah.
planks of wood fell off, and I thought that was hilarious. That's such a TV show thing.
She's really been working out a lot. She probably also did it while in heels because, of
Yep.
course.
Yeah, because cop ladies on TV must wear heels, and they must have perfect hair.
Obviously.
They just left the salon every morning before work.
That's where I go before work. I go to get my hair done, my makeup, and gotta get a manicure.
And you shower with your gun.
Obviously, as we've seen, Chloe definitely showering with gun.
Oh, and so when Chloe bursts into the bedroom, she goes through like this curtain thing that's in the doorway, and it's made out of granny square crochet squares. I thought that was amusing.
Next at Crystal's house.
I'm actually not that big a fan of granny squares, but yeah, anytime I see like knitting and crocheting, I'm like, oh look.
I do that, but not granny squares.
So Chloe and Lucifer learn that the victim, Paula, was Diego's cousin, and he's crying, and he tells him about Yellow Viper, and Lucifer's just like disgusted because none of the gangsters that they're coming into contact with seem very gangstery, and he
Yeah.
thinks it's lame. But
yeah, he's like, these are the worst bad guys. I also love how when Chloe busts in, Lucifer's just sitting in the chair, like totally just chilling. Like, but he makes it look menacing. I always think that the way Lucifer can sit in a chair very menacingly, you're like, we're treating this as the throne of hell, are we?
So logistically, how do you think he got there? Like specifically in that chair? Because I feel like there was no door behind him. So did he just like smoothly sneak in and sit down in that chair?
That's a good question. I think I kind of assumed there was a door behind him, but maybe did he go in through the window? Like that's very menacing, right?
There
Like
is a window next to him. Yeah, true.
some hot dude in a suit just slithered through the window.
I feel like this is something that they kind of like play with in season 1, that Lucifer can move around even though he doesn't have wings, but he can like port
Yeah.
around quietly, and because even with the episode 2, right, where he moved really fast, but that was actually no, that was
Yes.
from a Amenadiel, right? So because he froze time, so
Yes.
Chloe thought, yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, when I saw him in that chair, I was like, wait, how did he get there?
And they're like, don't think about it, Crystal.
Yeah,
Just notice the menacing.
Chloe gets a text from Benny, and he says there's been another murder. They head to Benny's, and it's Pig Diddy.
Pig Diddy didn't. Somebody
He-
did Pig Diddy dirty.
so they find a puddle of blood, and oh my god, Lucifer sticks his fingers in it and tastes
And
it.
tastes it.
Ew.
What? And is like, nope, this isn't human.
I
What?
know. What? He knows what human blood tastes like.
I'm glad
Even?
that didn't become a thing. Because yuck.
Yuck. And then you can even hear him like smacking his lips too.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. Okay. So Benny explains that he didn't know that Viper was out of jail. He says that he sent him letters and money for lawyers. And I was just like, what kind of gangster writes letters to another gangster?
Dear bro.
What did it sounded weird to me.
I know. I mean, even just letters. It's just so, it's weird. Yeah, there's a lot of,
I mean,
look,
maybe
this
it
wasn't the
was
most
like
airtight case, okay?
yeah, there's a reason we don't really like this one. uh, oh, and one thing I thought was interesting was before they get here, like they have that transition scene of like over the buildings, and on the roof of the building you can see it says to walk amongst the crowd and go unnoticed, to hide in the shadows and be loved. And I guess that was like building art, and it just so happened to be over that. But I mean, it was still pretty fitting, so I like that.
Yeah.
Next, it goes back to Amenadiel, and he's like surprising Linda by like creepily suddenly standing in her office.
Yes. Menacing and hot at the same time. That's the it is in fact Dr. Linda's kryptonite.
But there was like a very quick shot of Linda's file on Lucifer. It had like Morningstar, comma L 015666, and I guess maybe the 015 is like the episode reference. Thought that was kind of
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
105. And then, but it's got some notes that I thought were really curious. Like it says that Lucifer is a warrior. He's
And I
paralyzed.
think has always been a worrier
Oh, okay.
because there's a bean in that sentence.
And then it says he's paralyzed by omni, and then it goes to the next line. Do you think that's omniscience?
Yeah, or like some kind of complex, basically, I think. Yeah.
And it says he has insomnia, and that he lays awake, unable to sleep for hours. That he has a stiff neck due to muscle tension. He has an iron deficiency. Maybe that's why he
Is
licked
this
the
just how
blood.
they got is this how they like described why he's so pale even though he lives in LA? Like that I feel like that was an inside joke on that just cuz he is really pale and British at this point, but
Well, I
still.
mean, you can't really get a tan in a nightclub, Tara.
No.
So
No, I know. And he does tend to stay in the nightclub. And I also noticed that the last, like, I think the very last word in the third paragraph, you can't see much around it, but I think it's the word psychosomatic because you can sort of see the HO before the somatic. And I'm like, I wonder if that's because I think that's what
how she's
Dr. Linda
explaining
thinks.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think she maybe thinks that this is all part of his psychosis, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially all the devil stuff and he's created this big metaphor that she thinks.
It also mentioned a cough. I don't know.
Yeah,
That was weird.
it's from the smoking. Don't smoke, kids.
But so Amenadiel sets up a fluid exchange.
Like, I don't know where Amenadiel he's like just channeling Lucifer, I think. Like, this is Amenadiel's version of Lucifer, like when you pretend to be your sibling and you're like, this is what you would say.
But he's
Only,
oblivious to the innuendo, right?
yeah, yeah. Clearly, Linda is not, though.
Yeah. She looks
Linda's
really
like,
into him already. She's
mm-hmm.
got an angel thing.
She does. She does. She has an immortals problem.
But basically he wants them to exchange like horror stories. Patients from hell, basically.
As it were. Yeah. Yeah.
Next, Lucifer and Chloe go to a Korean community center, and once again, Lucifer's disappointed because this is where Yellow Viper is. He expected him to be like this violent guy, but instead he's teaching art to children. And I do want to say that I've always been in awe at graffiti art. I don't know how they do it. It's amazing.
I feel like anything, like it sort of goes hand in hand with like murals. Like when
Yeah.
people can do these like whole wall sized paintings, like you can picture. To me, I'm just like, I don't know how you got
How?
there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then by the same token, I think other people think that when you say like, oh, I wrote a novel, and they're like, how? So, it's just the way, but yeah, there's some graffiti art is just
It's just baffling. I don't know how they do it. Like, there's like
so cool.
graffiti
And
like nearby us that I walk by, and
yeah,
I'm just every time I pass by, I'm just like, how did they even do that?
especially since there's like your tool is a can. Like you're not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
at least if
It's
you have like a paintbrush, you can be like, okay, like I can get in
precision,
and do that.
right?
But no, it's just like, all right, hope it's not too windy today.
But so this scene was actually pretty interesting because Chloe is pitching the idea that Lucifer is affecting things negatively for other people when he gives out his favors. And she asked him if the favor he gave Benny was to get him out of the charges that him and Viper got busted for, and then Benny got out of, but Viper went to prison for. And
Yeah.
he admits that he did pull a few strings and got him out of jail, and so basically Chloe is saying that him doing that for Benny is what landed Viper in jail. So
And Lucifer doesn't really say, like, you can tell that this is starting to sink in a little bit. Like
yeah, but he's
because
a little defensive, right?
yeah, and he doesn't because he doesn't want to like. I can't remember where is. Maybe it's a little bit later. The conversation about responsibility and taking responsibility
No, yeah.
for.
It's in this
Yeah,
part. Yeah, he says if there's
yeah.
one thing the devil knows, it's that people need to take responsibility for their own bad behavior.
And then she says,
Yes.
yes, it's that people need to take responsibility for their own bad behavior. And he's like, that's what I just said. You have a hearing problem. Which I laugh because I'm like, yes, but Lucifer, you know, sometimes you
he
say
has a
the
listening
thing.
problem.
Yeah. He has an absorbing things problem.
So while they're talking to Viper, the Latin Kings show up, and Lucifer is all excited by this because this is the violence that he had wanted, the danger he wanted.
Finally, his gang war is here.
Yeah, yeah. But then Chloe scolds him, and then that's when he finally seems to realize that there's a lot of kids behind him that are in danger because they're right in the line of fire. So even though he's like trying to egg on the gangsters to shoot him, they're right behind him, and he sees that Viper's trying to shield them too. So
And also Chloe is, because I think that's the other important part, right? Like Chloe just one of the things that I think is Chloe's like kind of superpower as throughout the series is that she will just like stand in front of a
mhm.
gun and try and talk them down from what they're doing. And like Lucifer always seems like he looks at that and he's like, she knows that if she gets shot, she's gonna die, but she does it anyway. And it's not like something ooh fun and exciting, it's terrifying. And so I think there's like that combination of things where he's like, she's just putting herself in front of this gun to try and save these kids. I'm being an ass, like.
Yeah, she tends to snap him out of his selfish funk,
Yes.
like over and over. But yeah, so finally he realizes that he needs to help distract them so that the kids can get so Viper can sneak the kids away, which he does do, which is good because he signals behind his back at Chloe and tries to get her to get him to realize that he'll distract them. So a little bit of
And
redemption here.
he makes his funny trousers and pants Britishisms joke, which just tickles me every time. I just think it's so funny.
Okay, so what is the difference? Is trousers in the UK underwear?
No, pants are.
Pants are okay. I got it
Yeah.
backwards.
So if you say pants, like a new pair of pants, in the UK, you're basically saying a new pair of underwear. And so trousers are, the outerwear. um, so his joke, right, is like, why do you wear your trousers so low? And then Danny is like, why are you talking about his pants? And then he's like, pants? Are we talking underwear? And so it's very, it just makes me laugh. And it's such a like, obviously this is Tom Ellis's little like,
Throwing a British thing in.
exactly.
But the lights go out just as Diego goes over to shoot Lucifer, and it's Maze. She's come here to break some bones.
Kick
And
ass and take names,
I
basically.
know she takes out all of them except for Danny. And Chloe punches her, and then everybody gets arrested.
And it's funny because Chloe doesn't even really punch her. She just like has her fist up and Danny
I know.
turns and like walks into it. And then Chloe shakes her hand out. And the other really funny thing I think about the whole maze fight scene is like Lucifer like basically commentating the entire thing by like
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
All
the
the
moves and what
injuries.
bones are breaking. And like, there's such a sense that this has been a long, he's seen this many times before. But I also appreciated that she didn't kill anyone.
Yeah, yeah. She just immobilized them very
Yeah,
painfully. But see, all he needed to do to get this kind of entertainment was open up a fight club with Maze as the star.
absolutely. Absolutely. Like you don't even need, you could just like put her in like, you know, what is it, the fights and be like, go wild. Do what you want to do. Wealth for everyone.
Dan arrives. He tells Chloe that they found a gun matching the caliber from the shooting at the shoe show. Was it a shoe show? Fashion show. And
Well, yeah,
so,
it was about the shoes though, so
yeah. And so they arrest the guy Viper, but Chloe understands that she senses that something's wrong. I like when so Chloe and Lucifer take Viper, and I guess they're taking him to the station to book him. But I like the way that Lucifer is just staring at her, like
Yes.
boring into her with his
It's the
eyes.
way my dog looks at me when I'm eating cheese. It's the exact because like the shot is like we see, Viper in the back seat, and then it goes to Chloe, and she's obviously like thinking something, and then it just pans over, and Lucifer is just
Hey.
like his single brain cell is just focused on getting Chloe to like acknowledge his existence so that he can make his
Make his point.
observation.
Which is that she has a hunch that something's up. Something doesn't add
Yeah.
up about the case because, and this is what I like about Lucifer too, is that he can make good deductions.
Yes.
He's smart. He understands that it seems weird that and convenient that Viper would have a gun, the murder weapon, or not the murder weapon, but the shooting. Well, what would you? I don't know.
Yes.
The weapon that would put him back in prison, basically. That he would just take it
Yes.
with him
Shooting
to
into a
art
crowd is
class.
a felony. So there you go. It's the like bad guy weapon.
But they have an interesting conversation in the car too. She tells Lucifer that she thinks he knows why he does favors for people, that it's for power and to feel superior and in control, and that he's addicted to creating chaos, which accurate.
And that he has a god complex,
Oh
which he
yeah.
does not care for.
Yeah, he was pretty amused up until she said that. He looked really
Yeah.
upset. His face changes.
Yeah. Does not like to be compared to his dad. Yeah, I really like that moment too, just because this is like these are the things like Lucifer has been a total chaos machine all episode, and to the point where again, like I feel like the audience is uncomfortable with how chaotic he is.
Yeah.
And because we're like, okay, other people are
And like they
gonna
have Dan there reminding us, what he's actually going for. He says, "You have no idea what you're trying to do, stoking a gang war," and so he's
yeah.
there to like say this so that we know that Lucifer is chasing something that's not good.
Yeah. But also, we don't love Dan at this point.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in a weird way, like, I mean, I think it's kind of cool because it's playing with the viewer's like connection to the characters in a bit.
Mhm.
Like, on the one hand, yeah, Lucifer being silly. And then on the other, you're like, oh, right. Just because Dan is a douche doesn't mean he's wrong in this instance.
Yeah, because he comes across as such a nag.
Yes. There's a lot of childish, like I think one thing I wrote down in my notes when I was watching it again was like there is a lot of play between the idea of childishness and kind of the adult in the room, where Lucifer is acting like a child and gets, Chloe leaves him in the car and locks it. There's a whole lot, and even the fact that it's kids that are at the art, thing. Like there's a lot of back and forth, and Chloe is clearly the grown-up in the room and is fed up with a lot of his childish antics. And this conversation feels a lot like, like when your mom just snaps and she's like, I'm going to tell you some things and I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And I'm like, oh my God. It's so much worse. And so, yeah, I feel like, Lucifer, who has all this like power and he's immortal and he's ageless and he's been around forever, and yet he still gets his butt handed to him by a woman who is like, hey, stop acting like a dick.
All right, so Viper, while Lucifer uses his power on Viper, and he asks him what he desires, and he says all he wants to do is his art, and then he says he swears that he didn't shoot up Benny's show because why would he go after him and yet not shoot anyone, like and not get Benny? And this is where Chloe understands what has been bugging her, like her gut feeling, so she turns the car and they go back to Benny's.
Yeah, so I need to tell you that this scene always is hilarious because I lived in this neighborhood. This is one of the This is one of those, suspension of disbelief. Like, I bought a lot of pastries at that Cobb's Bread, and my camera comes from Kerrisdale Cameras. And the funniest part is that she, like, wrenches on the wheel and does this huge screeching turn into like the most low-key residential street ever. Like, like it's she is not going anywhere. Like, it's a single block before you hit a dead end.
That's funny.
And I'm like, oh, Chloe, no, sweetie, like, you're gonna just need to do a loop.
The way that
So
you're
yeah.
talking is because I just watched the Magnum PI reboot pilot last night, and it takes place in Honolulu where I live. And I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, I know all these places. And at the end, like he like drives a car over a cliff or something. It's like, hey, I can see that cliff from my house. Like I can see it right now, sitting
It's
right where
weird that I
I am.
missed that.
I know. You think I would have heard that?
Exactly.
Okay, at Benny's, he reveals a piece of artwork of Pig Diddy that he was offered 150K for to Lucifer to thank him for saving his life. But what exactly is he talking about? Saving his life when?
Because he thinks that they've taken Viper away.
Oh, okay. That they caught Viper. Okay.
Yeah. But Lucifer is not super impressed. And this is also one of those like big character moments where Lucifer, he says something like
He's mad about them lying.
he abhors a fake.
Mm-hmm.
And Benny is all like, what do you mean? He's not the best acting in this moment, but And then, of course, we get our explanation.
All laid out nice and pretty
Of
for
course.
us to eat up. But so that's where they reveal that Hector is the one who fired the gun and he's an excellent marksman. That's how Chloe knew, and that's why no one got shot. He said that Benny made him do it, and he made him kill the pig too. And I was just like, "Oh, you love the pig, and he told you to kill it, and you actually did kill it."
Oh, I thought Benny killed the pig.
Oh no, he says he made me kill Pig Diddy.
Oh, yeah.
So Hector did it.
Anyways, poor Hector.
Poor
I'd have
Pig
just like,
Diddy.
poor Pig Diddy. He didn't deserve that.
See, if Hector was creative, he would have gone and found a different already dead pig and
Exactly.
pretended it was Pig Diddy and then kept Pig Diddy at home.
Exactly.
Think next time,
Could have just
Hector.
gone to the grocery store, threw down some pork chops.
And put some blood sprinkled around.
Exactly. Lucifer would have tasted it, apparently.
See, Borgio Armani did not need to die.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Next part is important because Benny attacks Viper and Lucifer stops him and tosses him through the painting, and then he shows him his devil face. So that's another person who gets to see his face. Then at a candlelight vigil for Paula, the lieutenant talks to the press. She's like putting on a real show for the press.
Real show. Real show.
But that's when Lucifer tells Chloe that she got what she wanted and now he has an official position as a civilian consultant, which solidifies the rest of the season.
Exactly. And means we no longer have to have like pretzel reasons for
Yeah.
Lucifer to get
Yeah.
involved with
Yeah.
every murder.
But Chloe doesn't seem to mind, and so this gets Lucifer really excited, and he asks, "Oh, are we gonna go consummate our new relationship?" And I love the way she leans in to tease him, like they're almost gonna kiss. Because I mean, it's exciting to see because there's good chemistry between them.
Yes.
But then she locks him out of the car this time instead of in,
Mhm.
and then she leaves him there.
And she's like, well, you wanted danger.
Bye.
Chloe out.
At Lux, Lucifer thanks Maze for saving him, and this is where it's like a continuation of their little the animosity between them, because he's hinting again that Maze is just jealous, and he kind of picks at her. He says that, "Oh, I do have to be more careful because I almost got Chloe killed," and he knows that's going to bother Maze, but and then he kind of leans in as if he's going to kiss her, and Maze kind of looks like almost expectant. or maybe like welcoming is a better way to
Mhm.
put it. But then he pulls back, and so
There's also an interesting thing that happens here, which again is like a little motif that carries throughout the whole show, which is it's really interesting to pay attention to who Lucifer pours drinks for.
mm,
He doesn't pour Maze a drink, but Maze takes his drink and then he takes it back. Like that, they have this back and forth quite a few
mm,
times. In fact, this is at least the second time it's happened so far in this season. And for Lucifer, right, like as the host, the owner of Lux, whatever, there's a very not everybody gets a drink from Lucifer. And the people who do, it means something. And the people that he withholds from also means something.
mm.
So yeah, that's how many times I've watched this show, guys. I now pay attention to how often Lucifer blinks and pours drinks for people. I'm a normal person. I'm fine.
Next, she's gonna start counting the stubble on his chin.
We'll get to the chest hair later.
But yeah, so story wise, I feel like this whole thing, these interactions between him and Mace, is just to push her toward Amenadiel because he's plotting behind the scenes,
Yeah.
right? And so he's trying to draw Maze over to his side.
And there's a really actually interesting moment earlier in the episode. I think when they're at the coffee shop and he's, Amenadiel sort of says something like, oh, well, you weren't going to help me before. And she says, I only want what's best for Lucifer, just
Yeah.
like you do, which is super interesting because, I mean, she thinks that Lucifer belongs in hell.
In hell.
And Amenadiel thinks that Lucifer belongs in hell. But Lucifer is like not happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
In hell. Like he's not like, it's such a contrast, but also a weird connection point between Maze and Amenadiel, which is they both don't understand this thing about Lucifer, which is
Yeah.
that he
It's
it's
hell for
not
him.
it's hell for him. It's not home, it's not the place that he wants to return to or that he belongs. And so yeah, that kind of idea of like just like you do, like as if what Amenadiel wants for Lucifer like is a good thing, but Lucifer would not say it was a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, their kind of interaction this season, the like angel demon weird fall slash Maze feeling confused about things, like it all ties in really nicely together, I think.
Yeah. All right, so the final scene is Chloe asleep in an armchair at home, and Maze is creepily watching her sleep. And we get to see her demon face for the first time. And then Chloe shakes awake and she calls out, like, because she could sense that someone was there. So, what do you think they put this scene in for? Because to me, it kind of read like she is jealous. And so, do you think she went there intending to harm Chloe, or was she just curious
I
about
think she's
her?
just keeping, because it actually leads directly from Lucifer says something to her like, I know you'll protect me no matter
No
what,
matter what.
or kind of thing. And she says something like, whether, yes, whether you realize it or not, kind of thing. So like Maze does think that Chloe is potentially
A danger to him.
a danger to him, but not enough to like obviously take her
Take
out at this
action.
moment. But I do think it's so that we know that Maze, who we've seen be extremely like efficiently violent,
Yeah.
has her eyes
Keeping
on.
tabs.
Yeah. And it's, like there is a lot of menace in somebody standing over you sleeping and then not killing you. I would also like to say that Chloe's chair looked so
I
comfortable.
know it did.
And
It
I
looked
was
really
like, I
good.
want a chair. But the way she was sleeping did not look comfortable. I
No,
thought,
I
oh
didn't.
no, if I slept like that, I would have sore neck for 3 weeks.
Just like Lucifer. Lucifer's got a stiff neck.
Apparently.
Maybe he's been
Yeah,
sleeping in her armchair.
maybe.
All right, watches. There was no couch update this episode, but we did get an addition to the people who have seen Lucifer's devil face, Benny. The title line was said by Diego, which was
Yes.
actually surprising. I would have guessed Lucifer, but yeah, it was Diego. Um,
Chest hair sparse. Because we do actually see his shirt open when he's kissing the model at the beginning. And like there's some light like reflecting. So I think there's some hairs.
Wow.
I
You
I
really
will
pay
I know. I'm
you're
doing
the
this for you.
go-to you're the go-to chest hair expert.
The other thing that I would like to see in pro watch though is the curls were out
Mm.
in this episode. Lucifer curls, top notch. Yeah. And Linda's couch may not have made an appearance, but my gosh, she was in a horrible building. Like they definitely changed that as the seasons
Yeah.
go on. Cause like I'm like, where is she? Yeah,
Very
I'm
very enclosed hallway.
extremely in a very ugly building. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you're who are your clientele again? Supposedly?
Okay, LuciTunes. I wrote down 3. There was A Little Wicked by Valerie Broussard. They use her music a lot throughout the show,
Mhm.
so that's why I wanted to mention that one. And then there's Ghost City by Thomas Azier. This is in Lux when he's talking to Dan. I really like this song. It's a good song. And then there's A Girl Like You at the end by Edwin Collins. That's the final scene with Maze. Actually,
Also a
it's
really
in
good
Lux
song.
too. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good song. The good, the bad, and the crispy. My good is when they're talking to Danny and Diego, and she told him not to speculate in front of the suspects. And he says, "What? That wasn't speculation. That was a statement of potential fact."
After he like basically accuses them of like all the crimes. And she's just like, "Oh my god, Lucifer. No." Yeah, that is a good scene. Mine is I really like Maze. Like just we learn some things about Maze in this episode. She's kind
Mhm.
of we start to see the conflict brewing that I mean I know is going to be something that carries over for quite some time. Yeah, and also Amenadiel in a suit is just it's just good.
Yeah.
It's there for us.
Yeah.
That's you know,
Yeah.
it's there for the female gaze guys. It's just excellent.
The bad Lucifer is so selfish in this
Oh my
episode, and
god.
it kind of
Mhm.
sucks, like because it's been kind of like they've been cultivating this devil with a heart of gold kind of thing so far, and then to have him just go all the way back to like being like this, yeah, just kind of didn't really like it. Also, there's this line that Lucifer says that made me feel really uncomfortable on rewatch. He says, "Do you have something to hide, Mr. Viper, or do you go by Yellow?" I thought that
Mhm.
was vaguely racist, didn't age very well, kind of
No.
cringy.
Yeah, I'm so with you on the selfishness. Like it just it's although I will also say that I feel like it is weirdly in character for Lucifer to like take one step forward and then just like 23 steps back in terms of his
It
personal
is.
development.
Welcome to Linda's life in therapy with
I
Lucifer.
know. I can only imagine what Linda's poor therapist has to deal with, you know? Like
How does she still have hair? You would think that she by the end she would have
no.
torn it all out.
Exactly. It's a wig. She's um but yeah, it just it was hard. It was hard to watch. And so mine is kind of similar in that like this case this week, it's just uh, I can
It's pretty subpar.
it's subpar and it's just so like it even though Lucifer's cases are not what you watch for, usually there's more of a connection between whatever
Yeah.
character stuff is
He usually
happening.
has like a light bulb moment that's more like
Exactly.
firmly entrenched into the
Yeah.
case.
And in this case, like his light bulb moment was important, but it was from Chloe and it didn't have
Yeah.
to be this
Yeah.
kind of case. And so I remember last time on our last show, we were talking about this episode and I was like, I'm sure there's things that I like about it, but when I think about it, I don't like this episode. And as I was watching it this time, I was like, no, I do love all this like character stuff. Everything that's not the case, I actually like.
Yeah,
But the case
it's got like a
itself,
lot of cultivating going on.
yes.
It's
And
very
like
subtle, but it's good.
and worth it for Beelzebub, let's be real.
Yes.
Like just that.
And so, on that note, my crispy is when Lucifer punches Paolucci. He calls him He says, on behalf of myself and only myself, I think you're a complete sack of ass. I've never heard that term before. I don't know what a sack of ass is, but it's a brilliant, a brilliant insult. I
And of
loved
course,
it.
it was said British, so it was
Yeah.
arse. It was a sack of arse, which for some reason is even better than ass. Like, I don't know. I also really loved that moment. And it's such a like, because Chloe is like, don't. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not doing this for you. No, don't worry.
And I love
This is
that
all
you
me.
can kind of see her blurry in the background. She's like, oh God, what is he doing?
Yeah. Oh, it's just the beginning for you, Chloe.
And
Just
he
you
really
wait.
rings Paolucci's bell. Like he
Yeah.
hits him really hard and he's like
But not, I mean, it's interesting. He hits him human hard,
yeah, yeah. I knew you were gonna
not,
say that.
like, because he doesn't send him through the wall
Yeah,
or through a window, which we know he can do with very little movement. So
yeah.
it's like
He
he,
pulled it, but it was still enough to hurt a lot.
yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, Paolucci totally deserved
Yeah.
because he's a dick. My crispy was sort of mentioned it before, but it's Chloe dropping the adult in the room truth. Like, hey, you're addicted to chaos and it's affecting other people. And the fact that you see him kind of like take it in, and I like the moments because I think Lucifer does he'll try and talk his way out of a situation every time. So when something actually sinks in and he's quiet about it, you're like, oh, maybe we're actually getting a little bit through the defense mechanisms and all of the stuff that he's put up around himself, and he takes it in. And I like that.
Lucifer basically has two therapists. He has
Yes,
Linda and he has Chloe.
exactly. He probably owes Chloe a significant sum just for all of the unpaid therapy that she's provided.
That's it for the episode breakdown. And our good, the bad, and the crispy. We'll be right back with a new Lucy quiz. Okay, we have a new Lucy quiz for you. You can check out our socials this weekend for a bonus question. The way this works is I'm going to ask Tara 5 questions of possibly increasing difficulty. I have admitted that I am not so good at at like putting them in a good order. But yeah, 5 questions of increasing difficulty about the episode we just discussed, and you will have 5 seconds to come up with an answer. Are you
Right.
ready?
I'm ready.
All right, question 1. How much do Benny's shoes sell for?
$6.
Ooh, good job.
That's too much for shoes, by the way.
I know. My
I'm
God.
just saying. I could buy a lot of things that are not one pair of shoes.
That's a lot of yarn.
That's a lot of yarn and fountain pens.
All right, question 2. What name does Amenadiel give to Linda when he introduces himself?
Dr. Kanan.
Very good. Okay, question 3. What is the name of the cop bar that they go to?
Paddock.
Wow, good job. This one's going to be easy, I think. Question 4. How does the Bezel Bean barista spell Mazikeen's name?
Mike.
All right, last question. Hopefully the hardest. What gang was Benny Choi in before he became an artist?
Asian boys.
Oh, you
But I'm
got
going to
it.
tell you, okay, so I'm going to tell you that I couldn't remember at first, and I went and looked it up before, like, I was like, she's going to ask me that. She's going to ask me in the write-up that, like, you mentioned the Latin Kings, like, 3 times. I'm like, but yet the other gang is not mentioned. That is going to be one of her questions. And so
I actually went back and I deleted it because I saw you in the Google Doc and I was like, oh, I need to go take that out.
the new game is now, how many of the questions did Tara think Crystal was gonna ask that she was right about? Because today was like at least 3 of them. I was like, she's gonna ask about this. I know she's gonna. I better write this down and remember it. I
Was
thought
it
you might ask
the
me.
mic?
I didn't pick that one.
Oh, okay.
I thought you might ask me where the collector was from who wanted to buy
Oh,
the
I thought about
painting.
that. The answer's Dubai, by the
It
way.
is Dubai. I've been to Dubai. I feel like the pig thing would not go over well there, but you know.
So the cup bar, I noticed that earlier Chloe called it the Paddock Lounge, but the
Mm,
sign at the bar is Paddock Bar.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I
little
noticed that
little
too. And I was like, well, there's horses. There's horses somewhere, guys.
All right. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm
I
just
think
really
we
excited that I
covered it.
got those all right this time. I feel
Yeah, perfect score.
vindicated.
But I mean, coming up, we have a pretty good string of episodes.
I
So
know.
this was
Things
a
start
little
to
hurdle to go over, but yeah, we're gonna get into a
exactly. And I
nice
feel
little.
like that's always whenever I'm recommending the show, I'm always like, oh, okay, so it takes a little bit to like get over those
Yeah,
initial hiccups, and then boom, you're like out the gate,
yep,
and
yep.
there's so much good stuff.
It's a good run to the end, I think. Actually,
Yeah. Oh, there's some really good ones coming up.
yeah.
Priest walks into a bar, like, oh, such a good one.
Yes, that's it. That's a serious fan favorite.
Yeah,
Everybody brings that one up when
yeah.
people ask about favorite episodes. But yeah, really looking forward to that one. And that the actor, he's in a lot of things lately.
Yeah. Well, and he's good. Like that I think that's the thing. Sometimes the guest actors don't always sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And
He
then
stood out.
he's
Yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty, if you are enjoying Rom-Com Detectives, be sure to leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We want to thank the people who have already done so. We really appreciate it. For our Spotify listeners, leave us a comment and tell us which of our alternate Pig Diddy names you think would be a better fit for him. If you'd like to join additional conversations about Lucifer, you can visit the Lucifer subreddit at reddit.com/r/Lucifer. To contact me and Tara, you can email us at host@romcomdetectives.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky at romcomdetectives, or leave us a voicemail or text message at 1-650-733-XOXO or 9696. I did want to mention, since we do have a lot of international listeners, that I think if you wanted to call this number, you could probably do it over the internet. And I don't think it's good to call by phone because that's probably expensive. But I think if you call over the internet, like with another Google Voice number, that's probably free. So look into that if you wanna leave us a message. This episode of Rom-Com Detectives was recorded on May 9, 2025. Rom-Com Detectives Lucifer Unit is co-hosted by Crystal Watanabe and Tara Avery and is produced by Pico's House. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.